Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. For many people, this world is a very difficult place. I remember our sheikh telling us one time that some of the people who came to him were in such pain and in such difficulty that all he could do was hold them close to his chest like a baby. He couldn't teach them, he could just hold them. And in that holding, he conveyed a love and compassion that began to help them become better. We come into this world and we have no knowledge of reality. We have no knowledge of the truth. We have no knowledge of the correct way to be. Some of us are born to parents who have some understanding, and they can pass it on to us. But if we're born to parents who don't have understanding, then we're sort of left on our own. And what happens is, when you're left on your own in this world, you sort of go in the inclination of your peer group, in the inclination of your friends, in the inclination of the ones who surround you. And if their inclinations are inappropriate, you end up in inappropriate places. Now, each of us has a conscience, and this conscience activates. It activates within us. And when it will begin to activate is a major question in our lives. In some people, this conscience activates at a young age. Other people are so enamored by the world and all of the physical things in the world and the interaction between themselves and the physical things in the world that this constant interaction with all of the elemental manifestations that exist consumes them. And they end up leading a life of trying to accumulate the world. Only as they get older and older does it hit them that there are consequences to this birth. And one of the consequences of birth is death. And then all of a sudden, they're faced with that consequence much later in life, and they're unprepared for it. If we're fortunate enough to realize that there's much more to this existence than our encounter with all of the physical manifestations of the world, if we realize this, then we begin to ask questions about our existence. And then, in trying to find the answers to these questions, we end up looking for places where these answers are available. We begin to look for a teacher. And what a teacher does for us is, first, he tries to release us from our overwhelming attachment to the physical world. Then he tries to calm us down, to take away our stress, to take away our difficulties, to put us in a place of calmness and ease. Then he begins to explain reality. But until you're calm, until you're at ease, until you can accept what's being heard, there's not much that can be done. The mind is an incredibly active place. And if when you come to the presence of the teacher, but the mind is still in the world, there isn't going to be any learning. There may be a lessening of the attachment to the world, but it needs work. So he tries to bring us to a place of stillness so that we can hear the message that's coming to us. And the message that he conveys is a message about reality. This world, what we see in this world, what we encounter in this world, our interaction with this world is illusory. All of the things that we see in this world are temporary manifestations. If you've ever witnessed a dig where archaeologists go about trying to find out what happened ages ago, you will see that where they're digging, there may be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers of civilizations that occurred beforehand, that died and then were built upon again, that disappeared and were built upon again, and on and on and on. It's like this. People and civilizations pass on and new ones take their place over and over and over. But for each of us, we have this one life. We have this one birth. And we are all in the midst of this birth. And we want to know what happens to us when this birth begins to dissipate. What happens to us when this birth enters into the phase that man calls death? What happens next? This is a question on the mind of most people because it's unknown, because it's beyond what our eyes can see, it's beyond what our mind can conceptualize, it's beyond us. So we need a teacher who understands what's beyond us. And so questions are asked of the teacher. Questions like, is there reincarnation? Questions like, what is or is there a next phase to existence? Do we repeat lives over and over and over? And Bawa gave very clear answers to these questions. He said that people talk about reincarnation and different people have different ideas about it and proceed to explain those different ideas. Some say that you go from one life to the next life, to the next life, and in each of them, you climb higher and higher until you reach some kind of ultimate state. Bawa says that this may be what people say, but he says, in truth, man was created already in his ultimate state. He was created as God's highest creation. And when he comes to this earth, he already is at the place where he can reach this ultimate state. And the work that man has to do is to reach that state within this lifetime. And to reach that state within this lifetime, man has to begin to interact with his life and with this world the way that a true human being reacts. So man's work is to become a true human being. Man's work is to understand what a true human being is and then put his focus and his energy on that. Now, if man becomes animal-like, if man takes on the characteristics of animals and the qualities of animals, what happens to him is what happens to animals. Animals in this creation, if you watch closely, eat each other, destroy each other, consume each other. And there's a constant battle between them for survival. And if man takes on animal characteristics, then he becomes devoured by these animal characteristics. And these animal characteristics are related to the elemental characteristics. The elements are at odds with each other. The elements destroy each other in the same way the animals destroy each other. So if man doesn't do what he was intended to do, there will be reincarnation. There will be a return, but that return is not going to be a high return. That return is going to be a lesser return, and a lesser return, and a lesser return, until eventually man ends up at the lowest form of animal and ends up in hell and destroyed. Man's true carnation, man's true coming, is the understanding that God is light. God is without form, and when man dies, he is also without form. But the question is, what are the extent of his attachments to form? If his attachments to form are very powerful and very strong, he gets sucked back into the form within this creation. If he's released himself from the attachments of form, then he can go forward as light and merge with Allah's light, merge with the light that is God. Now, this is beyond our vision at the moment. For some, their vision has been able to see that while still in this form. For some, their vision never even turns in that direction because their interest is entirely towards that which is manifest. But we need to understand a little bit about light. Light is capable of carrying consciousness. Light has qualities that are beyond our understanding and beyond our knowledge and beyond which the scientists can see. But within light are all of the non-manifest qualities of Allah. Compassion is within light. Mercy is within light. Love is within light. Light can carry all of these things, and light goes on in a special way. Man's ultimate end, man's final end, when man says, Anal Haq, I have become reality, is when man's light merges into God's light. Rabia carried a torch, and with this torch, she indicated that she was ready to burn both heaven and hell because she wasn't interested in them. She was interested in merging with the Creator, in knowing the Creator. Now, interestingly enough, one of the things that she's saying is all of the conceptions that we have of heaven, where we take earthly pleasures and put them into the afterlife, is not reality. Reality is godly pleasures in the afterlife. Reality is a godly merger within the afterlife. Reality is becoming compassion. Reality is becoming love. Reality is becoming mercy, is becoming justice. And these things exist within light. These things exist in a realm that can't be seen by these worldly eyes. These things exist in a realm that we can't hear or taste with our senses that are connected to the physical manifest world. There is an entire world beyond the manifest. And this is where we are heading to if we release ourselves from the chains and from being bound by our attachment to the world. So, in order to become released, in order to travel the path that we are intended to travel, we have to lose our love for the world. We have to lose our love for the creation. We have to bring that love towards the Creator. And we have to understand that that Creator is formless. He is the ultimate in existence, yet he is without form. So we have to be comfortable. We have to become comfortable in letting go of form. We have to become comfortable entering into the space that we don't know, that we can't comprehend, but what we do know is what we're told by the holy ones. And what we're told by the holy ones is that to enter Haq, to enter reality, to enter truth, to enter into God's nature, we have to let go of form. We have to let go of that which is manifest. We have to let go of our love for that which is manifest. We have to let go of the lust that we have for that which is manifest. We have to let go of the craving that we have for that which is manifest. We have to let go of all of the responses that we have towards that which is manifest, that bring us closer to that, and that try to hold on to that, to bring it close to us, to bring it under our control, to bring it under our possession, to bring it under our foot so that it can't escape from us. We have to give up hoarding the world. We have to give up finding our joy and our contentment within the world. This is not easy. And this is also very scary because you have so many parts inside of you that are elemental, and all of these elemental parts have a natural attraction to the elements outside of themselves. So these magnetisms are created within us that bring in, that become attached to, that want to be with the elemental aspects of the world. And we have to fight that desire. We have to fight the desire that exists for the world. What separates us from reality, what separates us from knowing the truth, is this worldly desire. We want to hold on to this world, and yet we want to talk about God. We want to hold on to this world, and yet we want to be with God. We are creating dual and opposite inclinations at the same time, and we think we can hold on to both of them. We can have the world and have God simultaneously. We can have power and have God simultaneously. We can have attachments to the various things that we lust for in the world and have God simultaneously. Well, it doesn't work like that. Because if we're attached to the world attaches itself to us. And this creates a situation where when the end comes, we're so attached to this world that we are brought back to the elemental form, and we are recreated within the elemental form. And that elemental form, as opposed to becoming more and more advanced, is exactly the opposite. This is the teaching that we were given. This is the teaching that we were taught. So the point is that in this life that we were given, we have to make the jump to the truth. We have to make the passageway to the truth. We have to take the straight path towards the truth. And what is truth? Truth is light. Light is God. So we have to make the jump to light, to escape from the elemental world. We have to make the jump to truth. Truth is God. Light is God. Truth is light. Man is light. Man, reaching his ultimate state, becomes light merged with God. So give up the dreams of the world. Give up the imaginations of the pleasures that you think will be given to you in the world, and become ready for new pleasures. Become ready for new understandings. Become ready for new interactions. interactions and understandings that are greater than anything that you can know in this world. Interactions that are divine, not worldly. So stop imagining yourself in repose in worldly settings. Imagine yourself in repose in divine settings. And begin to think in terms of divinity as opposed to thinking in worldly terms. Begin to think of yourself as part of the divine as opposed to part of the animal kingdom, as opposed to part of that which is manifest. We have to make this jump in consciousness to take us towards the divine. We have to make this jump in consciousness that can believe that we were in fact created by our Lord to know him and to merge with him and to become as him. This is the true path. This is reality. Everything else is an imagination that we have that has to do with our attachments to our life, to our attachments to people who don't understand, to our attachments to our blood, to our attachments to all of the things that we've been taught that wasn't true. When I was young, I knew that almost everybody I spoke to had no idea what they were talking about. I knew that everybody I talked to was talking without truly knowing anything. It wasn't until I met the Sheikh when I was 26 that I was in the presence of somebody that I felt comfortable enough with that I could actually listen and believe what he told me. Not only did he convey words, but he conveyed a resonance that came through me that put me at ease. And for the first time in my life, I was now comfortable with my life because I knew that I was being put in a direction towards truth as opposed to a direction which had no real purpose, no real idea, no real knowledge of where we were going. A few days ago, I was with a young man and he began asking me questions. And he said to me, "How can I learn to love myself?" And I said to him, "Do you have any idea who you are?" And his response was that he didn't. And I said, as opposed to trying to love yourself, how about if you start by trying to be content with the situation that you're in right now and accepting what you're in right now? The reason you want to love yourself is because you're uncomfortable with yourself right now. You're uncomfortable in the direction you're going. You're uncomfortable with your ideas. You're uncomfortable with life. So many people are uncomfortable with life. But instead of looking where there are answers, they continue to look in places where there are no solutions. It's like the Nasruddin story. He's in front of the mosque at midnight, and the mosque is the only place in town with a light. And he's on his hands and knees looking for something. A friend of his walks by and gets down with him and says, Nasruddin, what are you looking for? And Nasruddin says, I'm looking for my keys. And he says, well, I'll help. He says, it doesn't matter if you help or not. He said, why won't it matter? He says, because I didn't lose my keys here. I lost them in the woods. He said, why are you looking here then? He says, because it's the only place in town with a light. And it's like that. We're attracted to the lights and we think we're going to find something because there's light there. You may be able to see more with your eyes closed than you can see with your eyes open. Because when your eyes are closed, the delusion that's around you at least won't be viewed. Understand what's real. Understand what our purpose is. Understand what this life is about. Understand where we are going. Set real goals that are brought to us by real men. Religion has become a place of ritual, and that's why people are leaving religion in this world. People are looking for true guidance that can take them from this difficulty that they're experiencing in this world and answer the questions that are deep inside of them about the truth of their existence. People want to know, but there are very few people out there who can give them these answers. And many people in religion will be talking about utopias on earth as opposed to the truth of existence. We have religions that want to conquer the world. We have religions that want to convert everybody around them. What's the point? To make the religion bigger? The purpose of religion is to bring us to a place where we become closer to God. And when religion stops trying to fulfill that purpose, it's not fulfilling any purpose. So each of us has to begin making decisions for ourselves. And these decisions have to do with finding the truth. And we have to find a place that the truth and ourselves become intermingled and comfortable. We have to find a place where we have established an intention towards reality. And then we have to have a true vision of reality and what it is. And the only place to get this vision is from people who understand reality. We've been fortunate enough to have a teacher who understood reality and who's passed on this vision to us. We have to take on this vision and we have to implement it into our life. We have to let go of what's not real and hold on to what's real. And we're all smart enough to know what's not real because we see everything disappear around us. We see the disturbances and chaos within this world. We see all the difficulties that people go through. We know all the pills that people take just so they can be calm enough to go through their daily work. We need to escape from the trauma of this world and enter into the repose of God's qualities. These qualities have to become our qualities. This way has to become our way. The divine is our path. The divine is our way. The divine is our salvation. We are divine, and we are going to interact and merge with the divine. The divine created us in his image, in his way. What is his image? His gracious qualities. So we need to bring those up within us so that we come to the truth of who we are and we move into that place where we are supposed to go, which is towards our Lord, to become one with him. May this happen for each of us. May we all understand this way And may this way become our true intention. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.